Ever since the curious state of the ancients decided that reading a person's palm can foretell their futures, people have been determined to seek new and increasingly ludicrous ways.
Now we add the black.
The subsequent practice
I'm going to add it to the body first, because that dictates the turret. But it's not difficult. British vehicles have... I know. They're not difficult. Like they're painted by squaddies.
I've examined that your breath smells like cigarettes. You're a smoker. You're addicted to nicotine.
Don't worry, I'll paint all these details afterwards.
Big brain. And it was surely a matter of time before somebody decided that arse reading was the next logical progressive step. What?
Hang on.
That someone was none other than Jackie Stallone. Oh no. The late mother of Hollywood legend Sylvester Stallone. Sly, what is your mum up to? Jackie already had a bit of form with pseudoscience. She got deeply into astrology for a while and published a best-selling guidebook on the topic in 1989, but I'm not sure the world was quite ready for the science of rumpology. Please tell me that's not what she calls it. Jackie claims that the method of divination actually had a long history and was regularly practiced in Babylon, Greece, India, and Rome. And it would be quite understandable back in those days before the invention of TV and films and the internet and the Raid Shadow Legends. The poor lambs had to make up their own entertainment. Yeah, you know, although honestly I'd just rather examine butts. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna...
I'm quite brutal about the black. Like, it goes over everything.
Yeah, and then play Raid Shadow Legends. They're still going to email me for sponsorship, even though I shit on them all the time. Jackie's rediscovery of this ancient art led to the birth of a new industry, as several other rumpologists set up stalls around the US and the UK, quite often showing off their skills on daytime TV shows with a big gap to plug. I know what image that is. The cheeky science behind the ancient art of arse reading involves the deep examination and prodding of the lines, dimples, folds, warts, spots, pimples, and crevices of the posterior. Crevices. Apparently, the left cheek provides a window to the past, and the right cheek delivers a valuable insight into the future. Oh my god, this is such a crock of shit. Whilst the track represents the division of the two hemispheres of the brain. Ah! Sly, what is your mum up to? The UK rumpologist Sam Amos reckons that a round bottom indicates a happy, open, and optimistic person, whilst the flat bottom suggests that the person is negative, vain, and sad. And it does apply to humans. Oh no! Jackie Stallone has publicly claimed that she successfully predicted the results of the US presidential election and the Oscar Awards in the year 2000 just by reading the butts of her two pet Doberman and pinchers.
What?
Smoking crack, Jackie, allegedly. I was quite disappointed to learn that Jackie's rumpology website didn't include an invitation to have your arse fortune read in person. Instead, you just sent in a Polaroid of your behind along with a check for $600. You could also...
Oh man, that's genius.
Only for $300. Okay. Remember. Probably best to pump the right cheek under those circumstances. You don't need to know where you've been. It's far more useful to know where you're going. Celebrity names who have gotten on board with the concept of
rumpology, that's genius. Whoever thought that up was a fucking con man.
Allegedly. Barbara Streisand, the Beckons. Well, they said allegedly. Kim Kardashian, Robbie Williams, Katie Price, and unsurprisingly, Sylvester Stallone. What the fuck are you doing? But Jackie, who recently died in September 2020 at the age of 98, may have been telling porkies about the origins of rumpology, as there is no evidence at all to back up the suggestion that dates back to ancient times. You begin to suspect that she might have made the whole thing up, and that's why rumpology isn't quite all that it's cracked up to be. Ear candling. Oh, this is a famous one, isn't it? Danny, this is so long. Good lord. I'm sure there are perfectly good reasons why someone would choose to stick a candle in their ear and set fire to it. Not any old candle, of course. The idea is that you pay a visit to your nearest ear candling practitioner or spend a few dollars on acquiring your own special ear candles. They're usually hollow fabric cones around 10 inches long, which are drenched in paraffin wax, beeswax, or soy wax. You lie inside, you place the pointed end of the candle in your ear, and then some kind soul will light the other end for you. You should leave it burning for around 15 minutes in each ear. Oh, but don't forget to cut a hole in the paper plate first and stick the candle through it, as this should help avoid the minor risk of hot wax and ash splashing onto your cheeks. Apparently, the burning candle is meant to create kind of low-level suction force which pulls wax and debris from the ear canal. It's a bit like
As you can see,
clear out. I know this is for. I think I've talked about this before. It kind of sounds like half.
this is not complex.
I mean, which is kind of tricky.
Random,
Like, yeah, it does sound
diagonal,
until you actually
black.
look into it and realise it's entirely. Danny, I hope there's enough chiropractors in here because they are very, very allegedly litigious. And I definitely have opinions on them that I wouldn't share because I don't want to get absolutely sued the shit out of. Allegedly, in my opinion, so I've heard.
I studied chiropractic for 3 years university.
And fans of the practice reckon that all the passages in your head are connected, so clearing out your lug holes makes for a clearer head and clearer thinking. Ear candling can also help eliminate problems with ringing in your ears, sinus problems and vertigo. The FDA reports that some companies in the past have also claimed that it can purify the blood and cure cancer. Ah, please. And if you're not yet convinced it's
Right.
then you have to proceed with finish.
That's not too difficult.
Let's open the candle and see for yourself what
Let's see if we can do this without making an horrible mess.
sucked out of your ear. Who could dare to argue with the evidence from your own ears? Some claim that the practice dates back to ancient times, while others reckon that the birthplace of ear candling was none other than the mystical city of Atlantis. Oh god, we're just adding on to the fakery, aren't we? I find it very doubtful as everyone knows people of Atlantis were more into reaching past fortunes. Certain companies make the rather more specific and less mythical claim that ear candling is an old tradition we picked up from the Native American tribe, the Hopi. But in fact, one of the larger manufacturers of ear candles, BioSun, even clogs their own range under the name Hopi Ear Candles. In response, the Hopi tribe has requested that BioSun drops their name from the products on the grounds that the tribe has never even been had the slightest connection with this ear candling nonsense, but BioSun has yet to heed this request. The truth is that nobody really knows the origin of ear candling, and it's more likely just a relatively recent invention that sadly doesn't do anything remotely useful at all. There are solid barriers in your head, like say the eardrum, which work against the theories that your head is all super connected, or that clearing out your ears might help cure a migraine. There is no suction force whatsoever created during the candling process, and so nothing is sucking out the wax. In fact, the amount of pressure required to physically suck wax from your ear would shatter your eardrum. All that wax and debris and gooey stuff and found inside the candle afterwards is actually from the candle itself, not your ear. Shocking! In reality, ear candling is an incredibly dangerous procedure which has resulted in melted faces, punctured eardrums and loss of hearing. While the FDA has slapped a ban on manufacturers promoting any health benefits from the products, it's still perfectly legal to buy them or receive the treatment from a practitioner. Here's an idea, but a bum. Don't let anyone stick something on fire inside your ear and then charge you $100. It feels so obvious. The lie detector is a lie. I gather that the US briefly got their own version of the Jeremy Kyle show in 2011, those lucky bastards. And for that, I can only apologise on behalf of Britain. Yes, I was being sarcastic. The Jeremy Kyle pot show is a steaming pile of shit. It's like Jerry Springer, except somehow, and I really don't know how they managed this, but it's even more trashy. If you haven't seen the show, it's a confrontational tabloid talk show, perhaps partly inspired by the Jerry Springer show, yes, in which everyday losers take the stage to air their dirty laundry in public and accuse each other of having an affair or falling off the bandwagon or whatever. Jeremy Kyle himself is an obnoxious little weasel who thinks of himself as a tough-talking superhero, allegedly, in Danny's opinion. He claims to provide a solution to every problem at hand while simultaneously snarling angrily in the face of guests and coming out with some memorable catchphrases like, "Oi Trevor, why don't you man up and grow a pair?" The most annoying thing about the show is when a particular situation is thrashed out by the use of a lie detector. A guy called Kevin is hooked up to the polygraph machine to prove once and for all that he didn't cheat on Tracy with her best mate Sharon, and to capture and briefly scroll across the screen to remind viewers that the lie detector is only 96% accurate. This is itself a lie, as a more credible study from 1997 concluded that the polygraph is 61% accurate, or not much better than chance. It's 11%. It's absurd. But it's all academic anyway, and Jeremy Kyle then goes on to behave as if the conclusions from the polygraph are the gospel truth. If Kevin passes the test, the host will congratulate him for telling the truth and encourage the studio audience to give him a round of applause. If Kevin fails the test, Jeremy will publicly condemn him as a liar, and will usually wrap up the segment by yelling in his face, "Oi Kevin, why don't you man up and grow a pair?" Jeremy Kyle. Unbelievably, This passed as acceptable weekday entertainment for 17 years before the plug was
God,
pulled.
17 years.
We'll come back to that in
Jesus.
just a moment. But it's all William Moulton Marston's fault, really. The psychologist first invented the polygraph machine in 1921, and William would curiously also go on to create the superhero comic Wonder Woman in 1941. No way. But
Right.
rad. Two versions having a CD album.
If you'll excuse my lungs. Right. Now then.
Design hasn't really changed much.
That one goes there, so it would be that one.
Blood pressure, respiration, skin conductivity. Of course, there's a lot more to it than just switching it on. Polygraph examinations usually involve an exhaustive pre-test phase. Simulation tests.
They didn't seem to paint thirds or halves of wheels. They just, some wheels were black, some wheels were green. There didn't seem to be a lot of didn't seem to be a lot of, as it were, careful painting on the wheels of these things. And this is probably quite a later model, looking at the wheel design. And the first one was a bit early, didn't have.
What William Moulton Marston invented back in 1921.
There we go. Didn't have the detail in the rivets. But yeah, that is a simple way to build, to paint British tanks. Like, they are not complex. Squaddies painted them. Yeah, a crew was at the factory given the job of painting the tanks green and black. They are regularly repainted, and it is, yeah, not complicated. Anyway, that is 12 minutes, so fuck that, I'll see you in the next one.